Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, special edition of the Terrible Podcast. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com on Saturday, August 14th, day 11 of Pittsburgh Steelers public practice training camp. Just two more to go after this one, Dave, just Tuesday and Wednesday, and they will officially break for camp. Not that they're really breaking for camp traditionally or going very far, but good to be back. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing good, and boy, we got some a whole slate of preseason games on tonight. So looking forward to that. It is that time of year again, and obviously you back at training camp practice with several things, notable things I think to kind of pass along to the listeners today. So it's a good day to be alive.
It is. Before we get to our injury report, do want to give a shout out to our training camp sponsor, Touring Plans. Lentesta's been a big friend of the site, as we've mentioned many times throughout training camp so far. So if you're planning a trip to Disney, you want to hit up Touring Plans. Those are the people that will help coordinate things and make that process, which of course can be really stressful, as least stressful as possible. So shout out to Lentesta. And again, check out the website, touringplans.com. All right, Dave, let's get to today's injury report. Not practicing today was cornerback Antoine Brooks Jr., missing 5, 6, not even sure how many practices it is with that left leg injury. Stephon Tuitt not practicing. He's yet to practice so far in camp. No Trey Turner, no Chaz Green. I believe Kendrick Green had an excused absence. I did not see him today. You can correct me on that. Also did not see Brandon Walton, which is unusual. Third string guard. Thought for a second he might get cut for the Schobert deal. We'll touch on that here in a second. But did Tomlin say that Kendrick Green had an excused absence today, Dave?
Yes, he did. He said that was an excuse by me. He said Trey Turner was essentially given a veteran day off there as well, too. So that explains two of your offensive linemen there. No word about – so you never saw Walton out there, huh?
Never. I thought he got cut because I figured, you don't see 62. He's not – he's not in a good spot here. If he doesn't get cut now, probably get cut here on Monday. But, did not see 62 out there today.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe he got banged up in the game the other night. But
sure.
I think he finished, right? I think he was part of that third, that final offensive line conglomeration there that played like 15 snaps on that final drive there. So, I don't know. Maybe he got some sort of bruise or soft tissue or something there. But
right.
We'll have to look for that moving forward.
Practicing in limited fashion today. Some good news overall, I think, on the injury report. Again, these guys did not work in team, but they worked in individual sessions. James Washington, Ray McLeod, both of those receivers, partial practice today, and also Kalen Ballage and Benny Snell. Those guys, again, not working in team, but worked in individual sessions, alongside with Joe Hayden, who did not participate in team, and TJ Watt continues to work on the side as they negotiate that contract. But for Washington, McLeod, especially the running backs, Ballage and Snell, really positive steps forward.
That's good news there, and it'll be interesting to see if both those guys will be able to get on. Look, you've got over a week from today before they play the Detroit Lions at Heinz Field, their third preseason game. So both those guys need to get back on the field, and hopefully that's going to be the case. It sure seems like it's trending that way.
Yeah. I would be shocked if any of those 4 names did not play against the Lions. They have plenty of time. They should be good to go.
All right, good.
All right, we'll start things off here with quarterback. Not a banner day for the quarterbacks overall. I think the defense had, 3 interceptions, one by Lane, one by Minka, and one by Arthur Millette. I think 2 of those came from Ben, including in the 2-minute session. Millette got him. 2-minute drill just in general today was really poor for the offense. Ben and Rudolph went a combined 2 of 7 for 10 yards. And interception did not record a first down, either first or second team offense in that 2-minute drill. So overall, it was day of the defense at Heinz Field.
Should the Steelers trade Ben Roethlisberger to the Colts for a 7th rounder? Is that where
they are? They are missing some late day 3 picks. So maybe pick up that 6th rounder you sent Jacksonville.
I don't know if you push hard enough, maybe you could get a 6 for Ben or something like that. I don't know. No, it didn't sound like the offense had a great day overall today. Ben obviously with 3 interceptions. The reason Mason Rudolph won't throw 3 interceptions because after the first 2, they would have him down at the hot metal bridge by his feet, dangling by his feet there. No, overall, how did quarterbacks just did not look good in general today? Is that kind of what you're getting at? Bad decisions or what?
Yeah, I mean, the defense made some good plays, too. I think Ben had 2 interceptions, and Rudolph had 1 that was, I think, a little off the mark, hit off a Sexton's hand and picked by Justin Lane. And the other 2, I believe, came from Ben. So, yeah, I mean, I think...
Was it catchable?
Which one?
The one to Sexton. Should he have caught it?
No, it should have been a better ball. I mean, they hit off his hands. If you're like an old school wide receivers coach, that's a whole. If it hit your hand, you should catch it. But Sexton had to reach out and it hit off his right hand. Okay. So I mean, he was pretty open. I think Rudolph should have thrown him a better pass.
And what did Ben's interceptions look like?
The 1 and 2 minute was a floater that Millette made a nice leaping grab on. I think Ben just trying to force one, kind of half throw across his body. And then the other one, I think Deontay stopped on his route and maybe some slight miscommunication there. Minka came diving in to pick it off. So that might have been more miscommunication than just a bad pass. The one that Millette got him on, I would just consider a bad ball from Ben.
All right.
So that's kind of the deal on quarterbacks. At running back, again, not a whole lot to note. Team, by the way, was in shells today. They were not in full pads, so a lighter day of work overall, less for us to evaluate. I will say I didn't even have this in my training camp diary because I don't have a lot of the context, don't know who the defender was, but your boy, I'm anointing him, your boy Dave, Petey Guerrero, had a great juke move in, I think 7 on 7, and I think he got Norwood or Killebrew, somebody's jock was laying on the ground. Choo-Choo came over and was celebrating. So Guerrero's got some juice, and those guys made some plays in one-on-one coverage drills today.
Yeah, but if this team gets Balaj and Benny Snell back, those lines become way too long. Then somebody's going to have to go out of them lines. I have a feeling there, unless Kevin Colbert deals someone like Samuels or one of those guys off real quick there. So I just found this. I had not watched any tape on Petey Guerrero before the Steelers had signed him, and obviously I jumped on it. And anytime, I'm a big fan of explosive plays, especially explosive runs. When you can get that, just his tape was full of it. I was really, really interested to see some of that speed, or at least see him get some carries the other night, and he did. And I thought he played okay overall behind that line, when he came in the game and all. But he might not be long for this roster now.
Yeah, I mean, do you think any running backs get cut on this first wave from 90 to 85? I mean, if Balaj and Snell are back, and they really will be by, the 17th, probably not going to keep all those running backs.
That's what I'm saying. I think I think Petey might be out the door in the next 48 hours or what have you, whenever they got to get to 80 here. So it wouldn't surprise me. I think it'll be a good measuring stick if a running back is not cut here in the next few days. That maybe that's a sign that Balaj and Snell probably need more time. So that's the only measuring stick I think that's there. But yeah, I'm expecting either Tony Brooks James or Petey Guerrero to go, and I would think it'd probably be Petey Guerrero.
I would agree, but until then, we'll keep calling him Petey, even though his name is Pete, because I just like calling him Petey.
I like calling him Fast Willie, almost like Fast Willie, Petey Guerrero. That's how I came up with that.
At tight end, I have a couple notes on these guys today. Pat Freiermuth, again, it's the same thing I've said, so it's not a new note, but he just catches just everything you throw at him. There was one, he plucked the ball down the seam off a UG3 shoulder, and you just throw anything. Even in one-on-one, he was running an in-cut, a 5-yard in, and Marcus Allen had inside leverage, and Freiermuth didn't really create much space at the top, but just, had the size, and it was a well-thrown ball, but made the catch. And so, again, we just I know training camp stats can be, and they are super, super nerdy, but we like to be able to track this stuff, versus historic numbers. And at the rate things are going, he might have the highest catch percentage of any receiver or tight end I've tracked in camp, of anybody who's had more than 10, 15 targets. I mean, he's only had, I think, 2 targets not caught so far in camp. So again, you throw it towards 88, he will grab it.
Well, that was the big book on him, right? Was catches everything in sight coming out of Penn State there. I had a 3rd round grade on him, and was not shocked obviously that the Steelers took him in the 2nd round. Heck, and I think even what did I do? 2 mock drafts this year, and the first one I had not. I need to just start doing 1 mock draft and let it go at the first one, because I had Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth as the first 2 picks in that first one there. They obviously had interest in him, so it's not shocking that they drafted him. I had a 3rd round grade on him. People get mad when you're 32 32 picks off of a grade of a player there. Let me ask you point blank: has he looked like a second-round pick to you so far?
Well, I mean, his hands.
Careful here.
Yeah,
you'll get a lot. I'll give out your personal email address.
You and every. Well, it's another story for another time. But his hands have been excellent. The sample size is still a little bit small in the sense of missing that first game. So, how many snaps did he play against Philadelphia? Do we have a number on that?
Yeah, I do.
I don't mean to give you homework here.
Yeah, I got it here. Hold on. We knew it was going to be a bunch of them. 32.
Was it that much? Okay, gotcha. So, what I would say about guys like Harry, really all these rookies, none of them have, Loudermilk to some extent has surprised me in a positive way, but a lot of these guys have been as advertised. And so I think whatever you thought about Pat Freiermuth before the draft, your thoughts really haven't and shouldn't change because he's been basically the same guy we watched at Penn State. And I've seen improvement, obviously, as a blocker. I thought in that Eagles game, he got called for that holding call in the first play. They ran that same concept later in that game when he had the backside cutoff block and did a good job there. So didn't make the same mistake twice and so improved. And so that's good to see. So again, how do you want to couch that as its second round play? I don't think about it that much in those terms, but it has been very much as advertised with Pat Freiermuth.
And his blocking, the thing on the blocking was it was when the deeper you got into the tape on him, the better it looked. I think my initial view of his college tape was as far as the blocking goes, not bad obviously overall, but just kind of meh on that. But the further you got into his tape, it's like, okay, I can see it here. Not excellent, not George Kittle, not Tommy Tremble and all like that, and obviously the other aspect was him, is he going to run away from many safeties or linebackers? And I kind of question that on the tape. The hands have always been there. That's documented just from his catch percentage at Penn State and all like that. And obviously real big target in the end zone there. A real big factor in that. So, 30-something snaps isn't a lot to judge him on from a game aspect. I would suspect we'll see a lot of him in the final two games.
Sure. And then a note on Zach Gentry. He makes some really impressive catches in practice. Had a one-hand snag today. Calvin Bundage was basically his parachute pulling at the back of his jersey in one-on-one linebacker tight end coverage drill, and he snagged the ball with his right hand. But I just want to see that translate 2 games. I think he's had 1 drop in the preseason so far. Not a lot of targets, obviously, but you want to see him be able to carry that over. So there's definitely been improvement with Zach Gentry, but I still don't see him as a number 3 on this team unless he starts making some of those wow plays that he can make in camp and do it inside a stadium, and he has to start doing that fast.
And with him being the number 3 too, he's going to have to really start sticking out to Danny Smith, plain and simple, I think. And one guy who is Kevin Rader, as you put up on the Twitter machine a couple of days ago. There, I mean, that's what you're looking for out of your number 3. That's very Matt Spaeth-like stuff there. And that guy is Rader remains. Kevin Rader is still the best blocking tight end on the roster right now, and the best special teams tight end on the roster right now. When you add both those two together, it's hard to predict a guy like Gentry beating him out. Now, can it happen? Would I bet my house? Probably not. But I mean, I think we both kind of have, or at least I have had Rader as being potentially my 3rd tight end for quite a while here. I mean, it's good that Gentry's progressing because he needed to, and plus, heck, we only had seen him 70, if that, total snaps, maybe 50 total snaps so far, in the first 2 seasons there. So not a lot of tape to go on, but the tape has not been great. Obviously, a converted quarterback turn tight end as well too there. So look, maybe this is a guy that you can get to waivers, get through waivers and put him on the practice squad, and because Ebron's not going to be around forever, right?
Right. Yeah, here's the thing with Gentry. In the next 2 weeks, he's not going to become the better blocker nor become the better special team player than Kevin Rader. So I don't know how this team could justify putting Gentry over him unless they just really valued that rare size that he has. But I don't think it's valuable enough in a room with Ebron and Freiermuth to competent to talented receiving threats to make Gentry the number 3. I would put him on the practice squad, and I think he can probably get him there.
I agree.
Let's go actually wide receiver here. Rico Bussey. I would say there's a really good battle on the practice squad for all those guys trying to get the 2-3 spots, however many they keep. We talk about Matthew Sexton, Anthony Johnson, Tyler Simmons, Isaiah McCoy. I would say that Rico Bussey Jr. is the most talented wide receiver, strictly in that wide receiver sense. He had a one-handed catch today in 7-on-7 and tapped both feet along the right sideline, and Marcus Allen was behind him and said, Rico, you got to chill out, man. You got to chill out, Rico, just for making some of these catches. The problem with him is that the other guys he's competing with have more special teams value than Rico Bussey. Bussey's special teams value has been really minimal so far, both in camp and in the preseason. So I would say guys like Anthony Johnson especially, Matthew Sexton, Isaiah McCoy, even Tyler Simmons all have more special teams value than Rico Bussey Jr. So it'll be a really interesting battle there between the receiver value that Bussey has, which I think is about tops of that group, but the special teams value that he has, which is probably bottom of that group.
And Isaiah McCoy probably right along there with him, right? For the most part, but McCoy probably a little bit better special teams player, but Bussey the other night got 3. Now, obviously, these are kind of diluted because the Eagles, they did have to punt. How many times did they punt in the second half of that game? 3, or was there 2 interceptions? How many interceptions did they have in the second half? I know they only ran 10 plays.
Yeah, Pitts had an interception. They probably punted no more than twice. I don't know the number.
Right. So that and they obviously weren't kicking off. So these special teams numbers or stats the other night were diluted. But Bussey 3, McCoy had 2.
And McCoy was punt return, I think, on probably
one
both.
Of them.
Right? Or
at least one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, at least one. Because he lost 7 yards. So yeah, McCoy I would say has some more special teams value because he can do some return stuff, but he also really can't do return stuff. Like he's not going to excel there. So
right, if he's returning, he's because he's blocking on a punt return or something like that.
Right.
And who they get back the other night? White didn't play any special team stats. Who's the better all around, most fluid route runner of those guys not in the top 5? I know it's not McCoy.
No, yeah, Sexton, he's the smaller, burstier, really good burst and acceleration. He took a screen today and got 6 yards, and you just kind of felt that acceleration and just 0 to 60 like that. So, he's a different body type than an Anthony Johnson or a McCoy or someone like that. I'd probably say either Bussey or Sexton in terms of the best route runner.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at there. Chase Claypool, by the way, would have had a 57-yard touchdown today, beat Lafayette Pitts down the left sideline, just dropped the pass. Now, right after that, he was working on trying to replicate that play and catch it on the sideline. But just want to see, I'm going to steal the Tomlin quote here, want to see Chase Claypool make the routine plays routinely. Should have had that one for a big play. Obviously, physically super gifted, a rare blend of height, weight, speed. Sometimes the hands still will occasionally frustrate. Again, they're not bad hands, but he does have that occasional lapse, and you want to see him just be a little less high variance type of player.
What was the air yards on that? That's the first thing that went through my head.
Of course it did. It was been about probably 50 yards, air yards. I don't know, 45, 50 yards.
What, did Roethlisberger punt it to him or what?
No, it was a really good throw. Maybe a little bit of difficulty having to try to track it over your shoulder, but a catch that Claypool's got to make. So yeah, it was on the money from Ben.
Did he throw it like 25 yards to somebody, then they throw it the other 25 yards or what?
Yeah, it was volleyballed to deep by committee this year.
No, in all seriousness, deep. It's never been that Ben cannot physically throw the football that far. It's been about the accuracy more than anything else, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I think last year there was an issue of so many balls just being underthrown. So I think in later years it's been more of a arm strength thing, although it's not terrible. But again, I just worry about those knees. I think things look good right now in August. Talk to me November 14th. It's a different story.
All right, well, where does the arm strength look right now and the ability to throw the ball more than 43 yards down the field?
It looks good. I'm not going to say otherwise, but I think every camp I've come away saying his arm strength looks good.
Okay.
His arm probably feels fresh and his knee feels good and all that. But 2 months of getting beat up and throwing 50 passes a game probably tends to change that a little bit. And so, it's hard to judge, but I would say it's fine.
All right, carry on.
Offensive line, again, not a whole lot to note here when they're not in full pads. But Kevin Dotson running first-team left guard, so that strong performance against the Eagles, enough to convince Mike Tomlin and Adrian Clem to get Dotson back first team snaps he ran there wholly over Rashad Coward, who's running second team today, even with guys like Kendrick Green and Trey Turner not working today. First team offensive line was Chooks, and then Kevin Dotson, J.C. Hassenauer at center, B.J. Finney at right guard, and Zach Banner at right tackle. So yeah, that's the story on Kevin Dotson. Dan Moore getting snaps at right tackle, too. Second team right tackle today. Some first team reps in the 2-minute drill with Banner being held out, and so some cross training there for rookie Dan Moore Jr.
All right, and in so many words, Tomlin was asked if Okorafor is going to be your starting left tackle today, and says, "Yeah, you could suggest." What was his exact quote here? I want to make sure I get that right.
Yeah, I know there was some debate about exactly what Tomlin said. I think you could suggest that was the gist.
Let me. I want to make sure I get this right for the people here. I don't want to mislead them there. So, like others like to do. Do you know? Let's see. 3 down. Devin. Dan Moore. Let's see. What kind of girl would you suggest that Chukwuma Okorafor is your left tackle for sure? Thomas says you can suggest, even though it's transcribed, you can. I think he said you could suggest that. The follow-up was, but you wouldn't take a rookie out of what he's comfortable with. And then Tomlin says you could suggest that. You could suggest that. So, I mean, you have to really watch it, I think, to get the full context there. It doesn't feel like it's a slam dunk. In other words, Tomlin's just saying, well, you can suggest anything that you want and not be right, So it's kind of hard to get the context there, I think, there. But I think the common sense of the matter still is the fact that Chukwuma Okorafor is on pace to be the week 1 left tackle. Would you agree?
I would. And I went back and rewatched that game, and I know you have a million times as well, Dave. I think Okorafor actually played all right. I was a little down on it the first time through. A lot of people in my timeline saying how bad Okorafor was. I thought he was pretty good. He got beat on 1 rep. Other than that, though, for a first game of the season for him, I did a nice job.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I don't think he played as well as Dan Moore did when he was in the game. But I didn't think it was his I'll put it to you this way. I was surprised to see the score that he got from PFF.
Was it bad?
Yeah, it was down near, a little bit lower there. Now, I still, I don't even think Joshua Dobbs could figure out the PFF grading system there. As far as that goes, maybe he got highly dinged on that.
Right.
On that one that you highlighted there. Maybe that severely impacted there. But
how many snaps did he play?
It was
15
or 20, I think. What was it here? Okorafor played 20.
Okay, so if you have one bad snap, another one that was so-so, that could bring her score down just because it gets skewed so negatively based off of 1 or 2 plays.
He had a total grade of the worst grade, 42.6 of any offensive player this past week. Really? I didn't. Okay. Yeah, that's why after watching it, and I had the luxury of watching the game twice before I even got to the PFF's grades, and I always try to make sure I watch anyway, just not to cloud any, cloud any bias there or whatnot. So I was a bit surprised to see that they severely his run blocking. They have him at a grade 63, where they severely dinged him was the pass blocking grade of 29.6. So how many pass he had 12 pass blocks in the game.
Okay. And 2, one of them was bad. One of them he got beat initially, I thought recovered nicely on his last snap actually on a spin move. So again, it wasn't like an amazing performance, but it just for a first game considering the context, I think it just wasn't as bad as maybe what I initially thought and what a lot of people are saying. Not enough that makes me think that Dan Moore is going to be the starting left tackle against the Buffalo Bills.
Right. Let's see. Let me look at pass blocking real quick and what they dinged him for. They have him as one. They have him down as only 1 hurry allowed in the game.
Yeah, and that was the one he got beat, I think, to the end. Well, I don't know which one they're giving him the hurry on. Right. There was one he got beat to the outside, one he got beat to the inside. The inside one he recovered, but Haskins had to roll left. Anyway, so.
Yeah,
again,
once again, look, it wasn't a flawless game, but I thought he played better than what the narrative is out there.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. Last note on the offensive line, people made the joke, and they're smarter and funnier than I am, that John LeGlue is the glue guy on his team because he's doing just everything. I mean, he's played center, he's played guard, he's played left tackle, or played offensive tackle, right tackle, and he did some long snapping today, at least in some early sessions. I don't think he actually long snapped in teamwork, but I mean, he's just trying to wear every hat possible to grab a practice squad spot.
Let's see. We're getting some feedback. The only thing ignorant is cutting. Someone really is taking issue with us not having B.J. Finney on our 53-man roster, and that same person has not listened to or does not listen to the podcast and hear the conversation where we say, "Hey, is it maybe look? We have always, or at least I have always said that Finney, and today's podcast is going to run long if anybody hasn't figured that out already, that Finney's a much better guard than he is a center. True or false?
I would say that's true.
Okay. But with all that said, there has been nothing, especially with the rotation and all like that, to lead us to believe that B.J. Finney has a legitimate shot to be the starting center come week 1 on this team, correct?
Correct. I would be very surprised if it was anyone other than Kendrick Green. Okay.
If not Kendrick Green, then it's been quite obvious that Hassenauer's been running second. In fact, how many Finney's barely got any snap. What did the rotation go like in the Hall of Fame game? Finney didn't play any center, did he?
I don't believe so, no.
I don't believe so either. So, I mean, we have Hassenauer and LeGlue. So, once again, maybe they figured out that Finney's not that good at center, as well there. So, but, I mean, I think even we open it up for a little bit for discussion in that last podcast, right, about is there some sort of possibility that Coward could beat out Finney? I mean, if somebody doesn't hear all the sides of the conversation, then accuse you of one thing, it makes you pretty irritated, in that. But is there any chance, if everybody stays healthy right now, that Finney makes this 53-man roster?
Wait, what are you asking? If there's any chance he makes it?
Yeah, if everybody stays healthy right now, is there any chance that Finney makes this 53-man roster if they only keep 9? But I'm going to quantify that. If they only keep 9 offensive in total, he would have to pretty much beat out Coward, right?
Or Hassenauer. I think you like Hassenauer's chances a little bit better than I do. We both kept him on our 53.
I'm not married to either of them. You know where
right.
I am on this. I think if a veteran center comes open, then that's the way this team should go, to be quite honest with you. But I digress.
Okay. Yeah, there's still a chance that he makes it. I mean, I'm not going to say there's not a chance. I just have Hassenauer edging out Finney right now. We'll see how the next couple games go.
All right. We've been called ignorant for suggesting cutting Finney.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, it could happen. They may keep him, and it wouldn't surprise me, necessarily shock me either way. But I have him just outside looking in right now.
Right. Look, I mean, I think there's a chance that he makes it, but if he makes it, I think he makes it over a guy like Coward. I still think I think he's a good guard. In fact, there's nothing that I've seen out of Coward yet that makes me think that he's a better option than Finney. But you look at the reps and all like that, and heck, Coward opened up as the starter this past week. That's where that leads you to believe that Coward's been in the driver's seat of this thing for a while, which I think basically has been reflected in our in our roster predictions.
Right. We'll see. To be continued. I think they're still trying to battle and figure some of that stuff out.
All
right, let's flip over to the defense with the defensive line. Let me ask you this. At what point, I don't know if concern's the right word, it's probably not. At what point do you take more interest and note of Stephon Tuitt not practicing?
Dr. Mel, I just had a conversation with her about that today.
Okay.
She's concerned as well, too.
I don't want to say, I want to be careful with concern. It's just... Maybe
just concerned that he's not practicing yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it something in his head? Is he still, because look, this guy went through something very, very tragic, and different people handle tragedies different ways. There's no cookie cutter approach to this, especially something like that. And, I take it the mother saw the accident happen and all like that. That kind of stuff just doesn't vanish, and there is more to life than just playing professional football, maybe he's questioning some things. I don't know. You're out there. You don't seem to think it's injury related or all at this point, right?
You wouldn't see it from the surface, but I would have said the same about Kevin Dotson, where visibly he looked fine, but there might be some small tweak that he's kind of working through and just doesn't want to, risk doing more damage and getting rushed back. So I can't say that there's not an injury at play here, but visibly he looks fine.
All right. Where are your concerns in? You're the one I didn't think you're going to bring this topic up, but you did, and that's the beauty of this show. So with that, you brought it up. Where is your concerns?
We assumed the Lions game was the tune-up game, right? And so you just kind of felt like he might be ramping up to maybe play a little bit. It's not a huge deal if he doesn't play this preseason, but the season, we're almost at the end of camp, and so I personally, selfishly, would like to see him practice a little bit before camp breaks, and there's 2 more days to do that. And I don't know if it's going to happen. Kind of doesn't feel like it will. So you just want to check that box so you don't have that lingering question in my head as camp breaks.
All right. So where is there a concern?
Again,
is it a selfish concern, or?
Well, it's a little bit of that for sure. But I don't even want to say concern, because then people really start getting alarm bells going off. Just the angst of okay. And again, like you said, you want to be respectful of the situation of his brother dying, and certainly you don't want to be disrespectful to that at all. But I just have this angst where it's like, when is this guy going to get back out there?
I'll tell you what I typed back to Dr. Mel there is, look, they're still going to have to restructure this contract of his more than likely now, right? And we've said that right from the get-go there. Assuming that gets done in the next, I guess it's 4 weeks now, 3 weeks now. How many days is it? 4 weeks? 3 weeks?
Just under 4 weeks, yeah.
Then, that's the side they expect him to play, and go from there. So, it is a question that deserves to be asked. Yes.
Okay. That's all. Yeah, I just felt that a little bit coming off that the second game, just felt that angst. But again, I'm not freaking out. I'm not that worried about it. It's just hoping to see it before camp ends. Other notes here: defensive line, Carlos Davis had a good day of pressure. Continues to get work in special teams. He's running down kicks and on the punt return teams. That's always interesting, and a lot of extra work from Abdullah Anderson and TJ Carter, 2 guys that probably are keenly aware of that first cutdown date happening pretty soon here.
Probably really Carter, right?
Yeah, Carter's, I think, in more danger than Anderson. Anderson's just in that deep defensive line where that numbers game could squeeze him a little bit.
Carter played 1 defensive snap the other night and 4 special teams. That's not good.
Well, he was the base nose tackle, and they were A, barely out there, and B, barely in base, so that probably hurt him. But yeah, I thought he might get cut today. I didn't even mention that TJ Scales has been waived in the Joe Schobert corresponding move there, so I thought he might go. I thought it was going to be either Scales or Carter that got the pink slip, and it was Scales.
All right. I wanted to ask you interesting quote from Mike Tomlin the other day that I believe you wrote up the post on, talking about looking for which one of Davis and Buggs can better themselves in their weakest part of their game, and I guess that would be Davis as a run defender and Buggs is a pass rusher, right?
Yeah.
Where are you on that?
I don't know. It's a very good question. I thought it was a really interesting commentary from Tomlin. That's why I wrote it up. I thought it was the most interesting thing he said in that interview with Bob Labriola. Because we just, you want to hear about those 2 guys pitted up against each other, because I think they might be fighting for just one spot. And so I don't know where I'm at in terms of who is strengthening their weakness more, Buggs in the pass game or Davis in the run game. I still lean, though, overall they're going to keep Carlos Davis over Isaiah Buggs.
I've been that way as well too. Yep. All right.
At linebacker, Alex Highsmith, again, a good day, had a batted pass. I thought he was giving some of the tackles fits today. And UG3, probably less so about today's practice, but I'll have an article on this, a film room for the morning. I just think it's been a disappointing camp, and preseason in particular for UG3, even in coverage. Missing tackles. He's got 2 missed tackles and not a lot of playing time this year. So, again, the sample sizes are smaller, but UG3 not looking like the way I thought he might this summer.
All right. The Marcus Allen have a nice practice today. It kind of feels that way.
Yeah, I think he was good. His tackling's been strong. I don't know if he made any particular standout play or another in team or something, but he was around the ball quite a bit. I had a nice angle on a jet play to Deontay Johnson that went for a loss.
All right, defensive backs. I think you had an interesting tweet today, or two of them that I think needed context. Did Denmark make an interception or miss an interception, or kind of explain your thoughts on the defensive backs today? Because it was hard to find some context there.
What was my context about Denmark? I mean, I talked about Lafayette Pitts. Felt like he was running ahead of him in team today.
All right, I'll find it.
I was referencing Lafayette Pitts, the interception he had in the Eagles game.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see if I can read it off here.
I mean, I may have worded it poorly because my tweet.
Okay, you said after an interception against the Eagles, Lafayette Pitts might be moving up the depth chart, and then you have running second team right cornerback ahead of Denmark, and then in parentheses, no Hayden in team today. Eventful day, two breakups, but got beat by Claypool on his drop TD. So was Denmark the one that got beat by?
No, it was Pitts.
Okay.
Yeah, that was all Pitts. I qualified the second team thing because then people would ask me about, well, why isn't James Pierre or Justin Lane running second team? Because they might be thinking Joe Hayden was in there. But yeah, Pitts, it felt like Denmark, I think, was running ahead of Pitts in 7 shots. But in team, it was Pitts consistently ahead of Denmark. It can be a little tough to tell because they both have really good hair. But I think I spotted them well enough. And so, I haven't seen a whole lot of depth chart moving and shaking after these 2 games. But that was kind of one that I noted today.
Is Lane doing enough
to make the 53?
Yeah.
Maybe the question is, are other guys doing enough to push him off the 53?
Okay.
And I don't. It's still really tough and really close and pretty tight race overall. I don't know what my cornerback group is going to look like for my next roster prediction. Had a pick today, came off a tip pass, but it was still interceptions in interception.
And look at that. Yeah, you can't knock a guy for him making a play that he should make.
Right. One guy who was making plays all over today was Arthur Millette. Thought his best day camp by far today. Run session, which isn't uncommon for him. He's a pretty good downhill player, kind of a Hilton mold, but had that really great skying interception on Ben in 2 minutes. So that's a guy that is taking advantage of a lot more chances with Antoine Brooks, who continues to miss time. And thought today was Arthur Millette's best practice.
Okay, and tell me about this punting machine or something.
I do want to mention Minka, 3rd interception in team today. Diving play. Guy acts like every game's a Super Bowl. Every practice is like for the Lombardi, and I just love that mentality. But the punting machine, that's just me being the dorky. This is why I'm going to die alone, because I did hang times on the punting machine.
Luckily, I found my life partner before.
Yeah,
way before all this. Yeah,
you got to figure it out. I wanted to do that because I was curious, and B, just as a reference point to like what does a punting machine look like compared to an actual person, and the punting times. On the punting machine today was.
You mean like that jugs machine that shoots it up or what?
Yeah, I was afraid if I called it jugs machine, people would get confused. I think it actually is just the jugs machine. They just reconfigure it to have it shoot up instead of across. But hang times are 492, 481, 481, and 482. I'm kind of impressed with myself to get that consistently. I feel like I'm doing a good job on the stopwatch then, because if I'm getting consistent times on a machine, then I feel like I'm timing it up pretty good.
Man, I was wondering what the heck is. I thought you had some sort of special contraption that you bought that you just really had me out there. There was some punting. I thought you bought something that helps you times this better, or something that goes off the sound of the foot or something. That's how that's how deep I read into your tweet there.
No, not that deep.
I mean, I'm hanging on every tweet here, Alex. You know,
just
nerd.
Me being a real big dork. Yeah, I mean, I don't like. I'm the first person in history to time the punting machine, but now you know. I mean, those are 4.8, 4.9, really good times, and
it's consistent.
I compare that. Yeah, I feel good. I feel pressure now doing these hang times. People really, because it's interesting now with the Harvard and Berry battle, and so I feel a lot of pressure. So I feel better right now.
All right, what else?
Who can segue from that? Nothing else really to talk about today. Good day for the defense overall. They're practicing tomorrow, but no public camp, so we will be back. we will be back out there Tuesday and Wednesday for the final 2 days of practice.
All right, sounds good. And we'll be wrapping it up with we've only got 2 more of these to go, Alex. And assuming the weather cooperates and all like that. But let's see. And we will also have a Monday morning Terrible podcast, and then follow that up in the evening with a special edition of the Terrible podcast. We'll try to not make it as long as this one. Just seems like there was a lot of topics to go a little bit deeper into and all like that. So once again, shout out to Touring Plans at Touring Plans on Twitter and touringplans.com. Thank you for sponsoring us. And let's see, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. As always, thanks for listening to this special edition of the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.